Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. I thought today we could do a wee bit more on classic men's fashions and actually have a discussion of some tobacco, which pops up every once in a while on this channel. I recently got another order from the Country Squire, so replenishing my normal go-tos. I bought several ounces of each one of these blends a long time ago, a year ago or so, and it dwindled down to nothing. So it's time to refresh. And two of them have been the same, but one is actually a new blend now. So King's Highway and George's Dragon, which are two of my go-tos from Country Squire. One's a Virginia Burley mix, and one is a Virginia Dark Fire Kentucky mix, and they're both tremendous tobaccos. If you haven't tried one yet, then I'd recommend them. The third one, Pilgrim's Muse. Now, of course, these are all in the fantasy series. They used to have the other names based on Lord of the Rings, which they had to change, of course. But Pilgrim's Muse was an English, rather traditional English, kind of Latakia forward, which is one I really enjoy, but very well balanced, and I really liked it. It was a very pleasant English blend. Well, they have a new mixture now, and they're calling it a Scottish mixture. I went ahead and give it a go because I thought, well, I really liked the previous one. The blending components sound the same. They just may have done some different ratios. So it's worth a shot. And they swapped out, I want to say in the old Pilgrim's Muse, which used to be called Bag End, it was Bright Virginias, and now it's Stoved Virginias. However, I was really surprised. It is a much different blend than previously. So if you have had Bag End or Pilgrim's Muse in the past and you're thinking about getting it again, fair warning, it's a very Virginia heavy blend. Not that it's a bad blend. I enjoyed it. I thought it was nice. Stove Rib Virginias, Latakia, it's got some a touch of burley in there and some Orientals, but really the Virginias steal the show. They're very forward. The other components are basically condimental, and it's odd because burley and Latakia as condiments you would think would overpower the blend, and absolutely not the case. So it's different. It actually puts me in mind of the other two blends I already get from them, which are the Virginia blends with Virginia blends with either burley or Dark Fire Kentucky, and I thought, well, I already have those. So now I've got a third one. So it does have a bit of a different flavor profile than the other two. But honestly, for me, I think it's going to be like a Virginia smoke. If I'm looking for an English, I'm not going to reach for that one anytime soon. I'll reach for it when I want a Virginia. So will I get it again? Probably not, because I have other Virginias that I prefer. There's two other Virginia blends that they produce that I prefer. This one, it seemed kind of like, they just took, King's Highway and just tweaked it a little bit, but they got to do what they got to do. When their blending components get limited because of the whole Sutliff thing, they had to make some changes, and I understand that. So just not for me. But it's not what we're smoking today. So keep checking my light there. But we'll get to that in a second. What I wanted to talk about today was casual Ascots. So these are often, I wear these quite a bit. They're really rather comfortable when it comes to neckwear. And oftentimes people mistakenly refer to these as cravats. A cravat is actually a generic term for any kind of neckwear. So casual or formal ascots, bow ties, neckties, they're all different types of a cravat. And cravat comes from the French term for Croat. Because the French saw the Croatian mercenaries, who were the first ones to wear decorative neckties. They had scarves that they tied around their neck in decorative knots and in flashy kind of bows and things like that. And so the French thought that was cool, and so they named it after the Croatian mercenaries they saw wearing that. and that's where the term cravat comes from, which is where we get all the neckties from. But the ascots are either casual or formal, and this is a casual ascot. Formal ascots, which is what the race is named for. It's not the other way around. The race is named for the cravat. I just said his name is named for the neckwear. It's not the other way around. So a formal ascot is the solid color, typically silver. It can be other colors, but in the same way that a tuxedo can also be red, right? I mean, technically it can, but it shouldn't be. It should be silver. Casual ascots can be anything, combinations of colors, patterns. Typically, it can be a single color, usually a bright color other than silver, and it's another casual form of neckwear. And people oftentimes don't like to wear them in modern times because there's a negative connotation with like the neck scarf craze of the 70s, and people just view it as off-putting. But they're really, as I said, they're comfortable. And if you have a large neck that you're looking to try to draw attention away from, these are the things that you want to wear. In point of fact, Cary Grant wore ascots on a regular basis because he was self-conscious about the size of his neck. Because Cary Grant was a gymnast, and so he was really rather muscular and had a muscular neck, and didn't like the thickness of his neck. He thought it looked odd, so he wore open collar with cravats in order to minimize that. So there's nothing wrong with them. As I said, they're comfortable. You just you tie them around your neck. It's once around and up and under. It's basically like a quarter. You can call it a quarter Windsor if you want. It's actually it's an Oriental knot is what it's referred to as, but it's just twice around, once up and once through, and then boom, you're done. And wear it with an open collar, and you can wear it with a sport coat, jacket, just about anything as long as it's something casual. And it's a great way to accessorize. So there we are, ascots. Back to the tobacco. In addition to the 3 blends from the Country Squire, because I always like to purchase my 10 tobacco from boutique blenders as well. You can order them online, of course. We all know the ones online you can order tobaccos from, and it costs a wee bit less when you order it from them. But as I said, I'd like to support the independent sellers whenever I can, and so I got a couple of HU blends from the Country Squire as well. So I got Zulu and Khoisan. This one. So they're both Latakia forward blends. I've never had either one of them. The Khoisan is Latakia with fire cured Virginia, Perique, and Dark Fire Kentucky. And the Zulu is Latakia with black Virginia. It's going to be like a stove red Virginia, Burley Orientals, and Dark Fire Kentucky. So they both sound like right up my alley. I love these kind of blends, and I love Latakia forward blends. So today, for the first time, we are going to give the Zulu a go, and we'll save this for another time. So I'm gonna pop this tin and share the entire experience with you, and the first tin note to the first taste. I don't typically do tobacco reviews. That's not really my thing. There are far more people out there who have much more developed palates, who have can get into flavor nuances with a lot more depth and description, and that's not my thing. So I can give a lot of what I like and what I don't like. But okay, so let's see here. I saw Malcolm Grant one time talking about the pleasure of opening a tobacco tin and the crinkle of the paper and the feel, and I think that's an important part of this hobby as well. Is really enjoying all the tactile experience of pipe smoking. So this is really, really moist, I have to say. Sticking to the lid there. So, so it's not just about the selection of the tobacco and things of that nature. It's enjoying all aspects of it. And let's see what we think about this from here. The Latakia is definitely there. There's a reason it's in largest letters. Wow, okay. Yeah. Black Virginia. Stowe, Virginia. Stone fruit, sweetness, a little nuttiness. Actually, I'm getting a little floral too. Wow. I mean, the Latakia is right up front. That's the first thing that grabs you, but there's a lot going on here. Okay. Let's see, moisture content. Really, really moist. So I am going to let this dry out for a bit. I'm going to sound like beans again, and then I'll pack a pipe and we'll be right back. And we are back. So I still have not refilled my Zippo. I've been very lazy. My pipe roll is actually still sitting up there on the shelf from the last trip I took. And I'm going to be traveling here and again about the week after Super Bowl, like less than 2 weeks, So I am going to have to open that up and clean those pipes and refill that lighter at least before I leave again. In the meantime, I'm bicking it. So I've let this dry out for about 30 minutes, and it still feels quite moist. So this may take a little bit. It's Charlight. Let's see if we can find out. Decent volume of smoke. I gotta tell you, I'm not getting the big Latakia hit. The 10 note is dominant Latakia, but I'm not getting that. I remind myself what's in this. The burley and the dark fire I get. Those are there. The Oriental is minorly present. It's almost totally lost. Kind of makes you wonder why they put it in there to begin with. Because you got a lot of big flavors in there. I don't know. I'm not. I hope this doesn't end up being like an Indaba experience. So far with the HUs, I'm 50-50. The Fayum, I got Fayum and Indaba last time. Loved the Fayum. Bought more Fayum. Indaba was just a mouthful of hot air to me. I had to mix my Indaba with a bunch of old dark fired just to get me flavors to wake up. Honestly, this is not. I mean, with these blending components, you would think this would be bold. I mean, Latakia, Black Virginia, still great Virginias, Burley, Darkfire, Kentucky. I mean, come on. This should be like, and it's not. It's just not. I don't know. I'll keep smoking it. I'll get through maybe a couple of bowls. I might change pipes. Like I tell you, right now, I'm just like, it's an Indaba experience for me right now. It's not much there. I mean, the smokehouse I got from Briarworks is an English mixture with Darkfire Kentucky in it, and that stuff that was that was a punch. That was there. This is not. So, yeah, I don't know. A little watery, but let's see, I'll finish the pipe. That's just my first impressions. When I get to the bottom of the pipe, things might change. I'll try it again tomorrow, um, and then I'll smoke it a few times this week and see if anything changes. If it does, I'll give you an update. But in any case, that'll be it for me for this evening. So I hope you have a lovely week. As always, happy reading.